ジョジョの奇妙な冒険、アイズ・オブ・ヘブン。どのモードをプレイするのだ？よし、行くぞ！
黄金の風。2001年のイタリア。ディオの息子でありながらジョースターの血統を受け継ぐジョルノ・ジョバーナ。ギャング組織パッショーネに入団した彼は正義を貫くため組織に反旗を翻した。そして何人もの仲間を失いながらもギャングのボスディアボロを激しい戦いの末に打ち砕いたのだった。ここは
コロッセオだな。俺はあちこちを放浪してきたからわかる。間違いねえ。ここはイタリアのコロッセオだぜ。
エジプトからイタリアまで一瞬で移動したってのか？
場所だけじゃねえ、時代も変わってるはずだ。
おい、ジジイたちはどこだ？
俺たちとは違う場所に出ちまったみたいだな。
何？
大勢で光のひびに入ると移動先が少しずれることがあるんだよ。とは言ってもだ、そんなに離れた場所じゃねえ。すぐ近く、そこら辺にいるはずだ。コロッセオを回って他の連中を見つけようぜ。ああ、そうだ、一つ言っとく。遺体は異変を鎮めるたびに共鳴しやすくなっていく。もし異変に囚われてる奴と出くわしたら、俺がやったみてえにあんたの持ってる遺体でどんどん解放してやりな。聖なる遺体の導きに従って行動すること、それは聖なる遺体に至る最短の道なんだぜ。
やれやれだぜ。そういうことは早く言いな。あれは
ついにやったのね。私たちなのね。 ったのはついに。
ブチャラティも魂は戻ったが肉体は負傷している。コロッセオで俺たちがどうなったか気持ちが似たってるはずだ。行くぞジョルノ。ブチャラティを治療して故郷に帰ろうぜ。
ああ、行こう。今行くよ。ミスタートリッシュ、どこ？いない。さっきまでここにいたのに。ブチャラティ、無事だったのか。あんたの魂は空に登っていったとばか。
ミスタとトリッシュは拘束させてもらった。俺のジッパーでな。そしてジョルノ、お前が死ねば何の問題もなくなる。スティッキーフィンガー
今ゴールドエクスペリエンスで触れて分かった。ほとばしるような生命エネルギーを感じた。理由は分からないが別人だ。このブチャラティは今までのブチャラティではない。
あのお方に届きうる能力を持つ者は消す。
あのお方だって何のことだ。
やれやれ。どうやら異変ってやつが今まさに発生しているようだな。
誰だ。
観光客か。引っ込んでろ。怪我したくなけりゃな。一般人は知らなくていい世界がある。
おお、どんな世界だ。ぜひ教えてもらいてえな。
警告はしたぜ。スティッキー。
あんたもスタンド使い、しかも強い。スティッキーフィンガーズより早く殴るなんて。
貴様、貴様もスタンド使いか。そのパワーとスピード、まともにやり合うのは危険だな。ここは二人に任せるとするか。
二人？ブチャラティ消えた。
逃げられたか。
Alright, so I'm continuing on this adventure. I'm just saying that now because I'm trying to remember because it's been a while, the Giovanna story from the manga. I'm pretty sure that when they defeated the boss at the end, it wasn't in a Colosseum. So this could possibly be Colosseum related to where they met Polnareff, or directly after. I guess you could say when Polnareff died, and then they were still at the Colosseum, so not too long ago. And also at the same time when Bucciarati had died. So I think this the reason why they're using the Colosseum because it's the most well-known part um, of the story of the manga, and the fact that the Colosseum is related to a historical location within Italy. So it makes more sense to have that scene here, I guess, than to have it at the actual location where the boss died. But yeah, I'm continuing on this adventure, and I've always loved Araki's work. It's always been different from other works, but it's very strange to say his last name because there's so many Araki. There's the Tetsuro Araki that is the Death Note, and then there's the other Araki guy, and then there's Hirohiko Araki. So just continuing on that.
まさかナランチャのエアロスミス。ナランチャ。フーゴ、あなた。覚悟してもらおう、ジョルノ。
二人でやんのかよ、フーゴ。エアロスミスとパープルヘイズでよ。
おい、おめえもスタンド使いだろ。手貸しな。あいつらを元に戻してやる。
はい、わかりました。
空城城太郎だ。名前を聞いておこうか。
ジョルノ・ジョバーナです。
すぐ楽にしてやる。僕のウイルスで。
お前ら蜂の巣だぜ。
オープンだけ。
説明は後だ。まずはあいつらの動きを止める。
死ぬのは僕の能力を見るお前の方だ。
お願いします。
行くぜ。まずは俺が行く。
全てはもう終わっている。
すぐに終わらせる。
なかなかやるじゃん。
してやられた。こいつへの攻撃をしてやる。
いいぞ。二人で行くぜ。
ええ。僕の未来のために。
お前
なんてスタンドだ。圧倒的な。強すぎる。こんな奴がいるなんて。近寄られるのはまずい。離れて体勢を立て直さなくては。待ってください、フーゴ。消えた。
逃げられたか。だが一人は捕まえたぜ。
あれジョルノ。
ナランチャ、僕が分かりますか。
俺どうしてたんだっけ。
京太郎。
どうした？何が？
異変ってやつに出くわしたところだ。これは逃げていった二人を追跡しろってことか。ジジイ、歌教員、こいつを見ていてくれ。俺たちはこの光の中に入って逃げた奴らを追う。いいな。
これでブチャラティたちを追うことができるのですか？わかりました。行きましょう。ここはネアポリス駅だ。コロッセオからネアポリス駅へ移動したのか。
この場所のどこかに奴らがいるはずだ。さっさと探すぜ。
オプションモード設定をするときというのは楽しんでやらなくちゃいけない。すごくベリッシュも重要なのは設定に対する君の好みだ。すごくベリッシュもオプションモード設定をするときというのはすごくベリッシュ。ここはオプションモードだ。すごく。君はどんな設定が好みなんだい？すごく。 ここはオプションモードだ。すごく君はどんな設定が好みなんだい？ここはオプションモードだ。 君はどんな設定が好みなんだい？オプションモードはすごく大切なんだ。重要なのは設定に対する君の好みだ。
Okay, so I pretty much got the gist of this game. Took me a while to get it. It's just like the options control aren't set up the way you normally do for a fighting game, so it's a little different. Normally you would never put something like an R2 is for guarding, but I guess I set it up the way I wanted it before because that was when I was doing fighting. But if you're paying attention to combos, it's saying something about if you press R2 and L2 at the same time, you do a cancellation. So if I change my R2 to square and my square to R2, my square becomes a guard. So pressing both. No, if I make my R2 circle and my circle R2, then pressing circle with L2 cancels out my attack while I'm doing square for attacking. If I have square as my attack button, and squares and circle is going to be my sidestep one, rather than my guarding. So. Is it gonna be my guarding? Yeah, it's gonna be my my guarding, and my sidestep is going to be R2. So it's gonna be a little strange because I have to get in the back of my head that if I'm going to follow the things based on the commands of the game, then I can't do that, because if I base on the commands of the game, then I won't be able to do any of the commands set in place. Because they didn't put coding in for this game for it to obey your button commands as you change them up for to understand that your R2 is now your sidestep instead of your guarding. So you have to remember it yourself, I guess. And that's all I gotta say about that. And another thing, I never liked this character right here. I don't even remember his name, the one typing. I think he was one of the worst characters in the game, like, of all time. And I mean, like, he was the worst. It's like he was so vile of a human being. Then when he died, I don't think anyone who read the manga for part 5 cared that he died, or even gave a damn that he was even a character. All he ever wanted was experiment. And because he had a stand, he would get away with things he got away with, and he got away with a lot. So when he died, it was, I think no one really cared or remembered him. Like he's one of these forgettable guys, but it's hard not to remember him because of the appalling things he's done. He's not like Diavolo or anything like that. He's not that memorable, except for his fascination with experimentations. But I guess you could say he's more memorable than Dio in that sense. But he really was one of the weakest enemies from part 5. In fact, I don't even know why someone like Diavolo, or even if he wasn't, like, say for instance, if he was his own thing, he didn't care about he didn't care about Diavolo, he didn't care about Bucciarati, he didn't care about I keep forgetting his name. Not Rolento, Heavy Metal. I forgot his name. Alright. Riletto. Yeah. If he didn't follow, I think I even butchered that name, but if he didn't follow any of those 3, I would say Risotto. That's just his name, Risotto. If he didn't follow any of those 3 whatsoever and did his own thing, it wouldn't matter. If he was on Bucciarati's team, it wouldn't matter. If he was on Diavolo's team, it wouldn't matter. If it was on Brizotto's team, it wouldn't matter. Nobody would miss this guy. Like, he was like that big fat dude with the Pinocchio nose in episode 5. I mean, not episode part 5. Nobody cared whatsoever. He was just someone thrown within the manga to show the gross nature of people when they have the ability to have power. But if you really think about it, as vile as he was, there are some characters within Stolen Ocean that are far worse than this dude. That's why I keep thinking people really sleep on Stone Ocean manga. It's just because the anime didn't do it justice. But I'll continue on the story. Yeah, that's his name. Melanie. This is a dumbass name too. No wonder he's forgettable. Well, I don't want to quit.
何ですか？
お、丈太郎、探したぜ。
ポルナレフ、こんなところにいたのか。そいつは何だ。
この亀か？ホームの向こうにいてよ。誰かに踏まれるんじゃねえかと思って水飲み場まで持ってきてやったんだよ。
丈太郎さん、何かあったんですか？
誰だ？
ジョルノ・ジョバーナ。この時代での異変に巻き込まれた当事者だ。
この人はどこかで見たことがあるような。
紹介するぜ、ジョルノ。この男は
まさかここまで追ってくるとは。
ブチャラティ。
光のひびを使って追ってきたのか。お前たちも聖なる遺体を集めているのか。
奴が異変か？叩きのめして遺体の光を当てればいいんだよな。
接近パワー型のスタンド使いだ。気をつけろ。
へっ、任せとけ。
いいだろう。やるというのなら構わん。こちらも徹底的にやらせてもらおう。徹底的にやる味方を呼んだ。
味方？
ポルナレフ。
何やてめえはバニラアイス。
どうした？そんなに驚かなくてもいいじゃないか。動揺する。それは恐怖するということだぞ。お前は俺に恐怖を抱いているな。
やかましい。丈太郎、奴の相手は俺がする。
僕も戦います。
やれやれだ。やれやれだ。やれやれだ。やれやれだ。やれやれだ。やれやれだ。
無駄無駄。
確実に追い詰めて倒す。確実に。
覚悟するんだな。ジッパーでバラされる覚悟をな。
ジョースターの人間かお前。
この戦いが終わったらディオという人物について教えてください。
オープンだけ。
全く大したやつだぜ。てめえ。
お前の意志は受け取った。
こいつへの攻撃は
二人で行くぜ。
ええ。
キーフィ ンガーシッキーフィンガー
クソ、こいつへの攻撃は
シッキーフィンガーズ終わりだシッキーフィンガーズ
暗いな。
シッキーフィンガーズお前の意志は受け取ったシッキーフィンガーズ
離せろ。
二人で行くぜ。
え、
シッキーフィンガー
ぶっ倒しいぞ。
クソ、
シッキーフィンガーズ俺もすでに読んでいたぜもらっておこうシッキー
ベネ
シッキーフィンガ
話し合いて。
大丈夫ですか。
クソ。
シッキーフィンガーズ
暗いな。二人で行くぜ。
え、ここは僕が
ぶちかますぜ。
矢のパワーを
ちょっぴりだけ許してくれた。
ひとたまりもないはず。
シッキーフィンガー
ゴールドエクスペリエンスレクイエム。
ちょい待ちな。
このあざのことを知っているんですか。
その剣相変わらず鋭いな。お前を倒せばあのお方はさぞお喜びになるだろう。
ち、またあのお方かよ。誰だそいつは。
私が忠誠を誓うのはこの世でただ一人。
何？
ポルナレフ、お前は私のスタンドが飲み込んで殺す。
なんだと？てめえ待ちやがれ。
ジョルノ・ジョバーナ、やはりお前の能力は厄介だ。だが次はない。
ブチャラティ。逃げられてしまった。
おい、ひょっとして今のバニラアイスという男。
ああ、そうだ。アブドゥルとイギーをやったクソ野郎だ。あいつも異変のせいで蘇ったってことか。日に当てて塵にしてやったのによ。待てよ、おかしいな。野郎はディオの血で吸血鬼になってたはずだ。昼間にこんな場所へ出てこられるわけがねえぞ。
別人ではないでしょうか。ブチャラティ、ジッパーを使う男のことですが、理由があって彼の体には生命エネルギーがゼロの状態のはずでした。ですが先ほど戦った彼にはエネルギーが満ち溢れていた。同一人物だが別人、そうとしか考えられない。
いや、そう言われてもよ。
正直に言うとだ、俺たちも何が起きてるのかよく分かってね。いろいろ知ってるはずの案内人はいるが、なんというか
遺体が共鳴し始めたぜ。
この駅のどこかに聖なる遺体があるようだな。
I really like the story of this game so far. To me, the story is quite interesting, even though the game is not that good. But the story of all these JoJo characters meeting up from different time periods of the JoJo legacy history. It's very fascinating how they were able to create their own story and combine every single JoJo character within the manga in it. Now, I don't mean every single character is in here, but most of the relevant ones from the various different parts are in the game. For instance, you won't see someone like George Joestar in here, because George Joestar wasn't primarily a main character. He was just someone that showed up in Joseph's story for like a brief minute, and then had his own manga thing going on for about a hot minute. So it wasn't something that was consistent continually. Even though more people wanted George Joestar's story, they didn't really need to have an extended story for George Joestar, because you already had Joseph living during the same time as George Joestar, so they just focused on Joseph's story and then had a little side story for George. It would have been more interesting if George Joestar was someone that I guess wasn't like, still was Joseph's father, but was way before Joseph was a boy, like before Joseph was even conceived. I guess that would make more sense. But then that would kind of kind of be the same way as it was for when George got born by Jonathan. So you never saw that story, so I guess it'll be too similar. But that's what I'm trying to say. Certain characters like Maria and stuff, and George, and even characters like Melanie. They're not that. It's not that they're not relevant. It's just that they don't focus that heavily, or they don't add anything powerful towards the overall story than other characters do. So why focus on the characters that don't actually fit the bill as interesting as other ones do? It would have been great if George Joestar was actually in this game. I'm not sure if I'm going to see Lisa in this game, but who knows? That'd be great. I think the latest JoJo game, which is more like a fighting game, even though this is a fighting game too. I think that one is more like a Tekken style fighting game. I find this more fascinating than that, to be honest with you. And there's more going on with regards to story in this than what I've heard with regards to that. So I'll continue this on. And I'm trying to remember. Yeah, Hirohiko Araki. He stopped at part 8 and continue on to do additional work, including the Paralympics logo design. And I haven't heard that much from him since. Very secretive in what his next projects are. But even if he does come out with something else, it doesn't matter if it's JoJo or not. I'll be down for it, because it means that he'll be deviating from his standard JoJo style, or using his style from the JoJo to do something very different. Either way, this man, really, if you really think about it, he could retire. At his age right now, he could retire easily, because he's made basically an entire legacy for himself, from part 1 all the way to part 8, and then various different spin-offs and various different stories that didn't have to do with any of the 8 parts whatsoever. Some that had to do with Rohan Kishibe and or Kishiban, however you want to say it. And then there's the others that have to do with George, and then some that had to do with Joseph's side missions, and then also others that had to do with I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but a story that had to do with Jotaro, side story. But I might be off. Maybe it probably wasn't even Jotaro. It probably was just something that had to do with the Pillarmen and Joseph. But that said, he's done most of his work went to start as Crusaders, and then to part 4 with Josuke. And that's where you got the different spin-offs, the different separate stories of Rohan, and I believe there's another character that had a spin-off from that story. It wasn't just Rohan. It could have been Josuke, or one of the Niji brothers. I don't know, Nijima brothers. I don't know, but I'll continue the story anyway. But either way, the only reason I play this game is because this is part. I wouldn't say this is part canon. This isn't part of the canon, but it got a lot of recognition, and some people kind of said it's canon because it's an alternate universe. It deals with alternate universe story, so it doesn't matter if you believe it's canon or not. If it's dealing with alternate reality, you can fit alternate reality as part of canon, because no one could say that you'll be wrong, because alternate reality in JoJo does exist in the manga. So who knows? This could be canon. I mean, for instance, Giorno here doesn't remember Polnareff's face, but he's seen him before. And the same goes for the settings. When Diavolo was defeated, they were still in the Colosseum. But in the manga, it wasn't on the Colosseum. It was like on the street or something. And same in the anime. So things are done differently in the game than the manga and the anime. And that's where you could get away with certain things, because alternate universe, messing with alternate universe, no one can say that you're wrong, because the laws of alternate universe or alternate reality or alternate dimension or time paradox doesn't connect towards the logic of what's going on in the canon reality. It could be a segment or a string, an attached string, or a branch, like a Loki branch from the Loki series. It is part of canon. It's just not part of the canon. It's an attachment to the canon, thus making it canon because it does exist. It's a separate situation. Just like in this game, it shows that JoJo, Joseph, and Polnareff were at the airport, just like in the manga, just like in the anime, and they were about to leave, just like in the manga, just like in the airport, and meet up. And then all this dimension stuff started happening in this game, and that's where the deviation from what is normal start to happen, because they were following the path just like the story. Jojo defeated Dio on the bridge. Everything happens specifically the way it's supposed to happen in the manga as well as the anime. And then the deviation happens once the introduction of the Holy Corpse was put into play. Because once the introduction of the Holy Corpse was managed to make itself into this reality, or appear into this reality, you could basically say the Dio not of this world, or the Dio of this world that died, the ripple effects cause a tear in reality, and whatever Dio from whatever other reality kind of or essence latch on to that, and so certain things are said to have happened. Now, I can't 100% say that Dio is alive, because I don't know. It's mere speculation. But Vanilla Ice stated specifically in this game that the only person he's loyal to is Dio, which is kind of hinting that Dio is alive. Whether that's true or not in this game is, I don't know. But what I do know, if they're messing with time, dimension, and reality, the possibilities of things that are canon and things that can happen and will happen can occur again. It's like just walking through a door. It's like walking through a mirror. So whatever is possible and whatever happened in the anime or in the manga can totally have a reverse in this game, and they could get away with it, because even though the main focus of each of these different people's branch timelines are happening as they are, each of the different parts are happening as they were in the manga and the anime, or primarily in the manga, the Holy Corpse now introduced can shift whatever happened in those stories moving forward, or before certain situations in those stories move forward. For instance, the Holy Corpse was introduced by Speedwagon in this game, and then whatever was supposed to happen within I guess Giorno's timeline automatically changed, which means by the time Jotaro went through the portal to get to Giorno's time, he saw that Giorno and not Bucciarati, but Narancia, he saw Giorno and geez, I keep forgetting her name. There's so many characters to remember. But what I'm saying is, it's hard to remember the character's name. There's so many. what I'm saying is because Jojo went through this door. I mean, Jotaro went through the portal, and he appeared on the other side. There's nothing to say that when he appeared on the other side, the logic of what happened in the manga of Aravento or Vento Aria, however you want to say it, was going to how they defeated Diavolo was on the street rather than in the Colosseum. For all we know, Jotaro probably went to an alternate universe or alternate reality where Diavolo wasn't defeated on the street. He was defeated in the Colosseum. But the events of Bucciarati dying, Narancia dying, and all the other characters within, including the bad guys as well, you know, especially what was his name? I could never forget his name. He's a very unique character as well. Well, not Big Pun. No, I'm thinking about a rap guy called Big Pun. It's not Big Pun. It's Biggie Small. Notorious Big. That's his name. Hard to remember these characters, but some are so obvious it's hard not to remember them. But like Notorious Big. So whatever happens due to the Holy Corpse, things could change, or it could simply be something like the people who did this game didn't want to do things specifically the way they were done in the anime or manga, which is completely dumb, to be honest with you, because if you're doing a timeline, you got to follow that timeline according to things that are stated in the manga. If you're going to do Dio and Jotaro on the bridge, you got to do everything else specifically the way it was in the manga. So it could be a screw up that they did, or it could actually be an alternate reality thing, and they could get away with it because there's nothing to say that the moment Jotaro went through that portal, that he went to the actually legit Vento Aria world of Giorno and his compatriots. So who knows? I'm just talking about that. I'll proceed forward with the story.
何ですか？
俺が作った商売の流れなんだよ。どうや。俺が作った商売の流れなんだよ。だもの。私が東方フルーツ屋の4代目東方ノリスケだ。どうや。 私が東方フルーツ屋の4代目。
だもの
俺が作った商売の流れなんだよ。
だものおお、おかえり。
また来いよ。
これは。
よし、遺体が手に入ったぜ。
聖なる遺体の部位は全部で何個だったっけ？
スピードワゴンは全部で9個あると言っていたな。
先は長いぜ。
お、なんだ、聖なる遺体をもう見つけちまったみてえだな。来るのが遅れちまってすまねえ。コロッセオでこの2人と出会ってよ、事情を説明するのに手間取っちまったんだ。ジョルノ！
That's her name, Trish. It took me a minute to remember her name. I guess I completely forgot her name. But once I saw her, then I remember her name is Trish. Yeah, Trish and Mista. I don't know why I forgot her name. It's like an obvious name to remember.
ミスタートリッシュ。そうか、ブチャラティが離れたからジッパーの効力が消えたんですね。
なあ、教えてくれ。どうしてブチャラティが俺たちを襲ってきたんだ？
それになぜナランチャが生き返っているの？何が起きたんだ？俺何も覚えてねえ。
僕にもよくわからないんだ。でもあなたはご存知なんですね。
スピードワゴンだ。詳しい話は後でさせてもらうがよ、俺たちは聖なる遺体の部位を集めてる。そしてそれにはあんたたちの協力が必要なんだ。頼む、俺たちに力を貸してくれ。
一つだけ確認させてください。この聖なる遺体の光を当てればブチャラティやフーゴは正気に帰る、そう考えていいのですね。
ああそうだ。
わかりました。僕たちも協力しましょう。
あ、その亀は？
おっと、そうそう、こいつを見てくれ。ミスタたちに教えてもらったんだが、この亀、背中が不思議な空間につながっててよ。中が何人でも入れるくらい広い部屋になってるんだ。この亀を利用すれば光のひびで離れ離れになるってことは防げるぜ。見てろ、こうやって入るんだ。
消えた。もしかしてスタンド能力か。この亀スタンド使いなのかよ。
待ってください。
あ、俺？
ずっと気になっていたんです。今はっきりと分かりました。あなたの正体が。
正体だと？何のこった？
あなた亀のポルナレフさんですね。
いや、は？なんだって？
そうだよな。俺もさっきからずっとそう思ってたんだよ。
俺も。あんた亀と入れ替わってたポルナレフだろ。
亀と入れ替わってた？
亀の時よりも若い感じがするわ。
亀の時？おい、ちょっと待て、話が見えねえな。まるで俺が亀になるみたいなこと言いやがって。あ、イタリアのジョーク。
ねえ、ひょっとして言うのまずかったかしら。
ここんとこ異常なことばかり起こってたんで感覚が麻痺しちまってたがよ。冷静に考えると亀になるって相当ショッキングなことだぜ。黙ってた方がよかったか。
ジョルノ、お前が言い出しっぺだからな。お前が何とかしろよ。
わかりました。すみません、気のせいでした。何でもありませんよ。丈太郎さん、亀の中に入ればいいんですね。お先。
そうそう、気のせいだったぜ。
ごめんなさい。
あんたはよ、亀にならないからよ。安心しろよな。
おい、待ちやがれ。説明しろ、おのれら。気になるだろうが。
何かわしらにはよくポルナレフと彼らには縁というかつながりがあるようじゃな。やれやれだぜ。歌教員はもう亀の中に入っとる。さあ、光のひびで移動するとしよう。やはり聖なる遺体に導かれたか。ジョルノ・ジョバーナ。
And that's why in this second story, um, within each of these videos I try to make with regards to anything of these videos, I try to give a little type of history or educational or at least some type of useful information for anyone who might be interested in it. Because logically, you can't really depend on the anime for logical answers if you want accurate information. It's more best to go towards the manga and stuff. But if you've never read the manga or watched the anime, then somebody should tell you at least something about it. Um, Now, the stuff with regards to the turtle and Polnareff, I won't dive deeper into it. I'm just going to say that Polnareff kind of became a turtle um, due to his own personal powers that was affected by the arrow, the holy arrows that give people stands. Apparently, the arrow had hit his stand, and by hitting his stand was empowered even more. Because typically, when an arrow hit a person, the person is given a stand ability, because that's what the arrows do. So if you have like good spiritual pressure and good a sense of a particular type of aura, you can manipulate aura to do extraordinary things, or you inherit that type of aura that could do extraordinary things. All the person have to do is just shoot the arrow at you, and then whatever aura that you have that's very powerful would create a stand. Now, let's say, for instance, that this arrow was shot at someone, some random person who has no type of powers or doesn't have a strong aura. Then it probably will just kill that person straight up, like a normal arrow. But if that person has a strong aura, and I don't mean like just regular strong, like they have the capabilities to do extraordinary things. It's just that they won't be able to like automatically lift up cars or then teleport or all this crazy stuff you see in comic books and stuff. They just simply are able to do things more intensely than normal people would. For instance, if you're able to curl 100 pounds, because their aura is so powerful, it gives them an edge over you. So they're able to curl 200 pounds while you're only able to curl 100 pounds. And yet they will be the exact same weight as you are, the exact same height as you are, and have the same body composition and same everything that you have, they would have. Like if you both were to stand on a scale, you'll both be the same weight. But for some reason, because they have stronger auras, the energy in their bodies is more intensified for them to do certain things that normally their body wouldn't be able to do, when it comes to stuff like curling or bench pressing or lifting or even running, because they have more energy, not within their cell composition, but more energy, I guess you could say, within the type of nutrients or element retention within their blood cells. Because when you do certain, you're using certain energies, your blood cells starts to flow, and your muscles tighten, and they contract, and then all of a sudden your body starts to you start to breathe hard, and your heart starts to pump. And every time you do a curl, your heart starts to pump, and you get less and less, you get slowly and slowly weaker over time, because as you're doing more, your body's under strain, because your body now has to continually do the same thing over and over, for which it does not have the energy to restore its normal functions to do those things over and over without you getting tired in the moment. But for someone who has a strong aura, they have more retention of their cells, or retention of the energy in their cells. They're able to do it more and more and more and even more before they get tired over time. Because that's what it is. An aura is. It's more retention of energy in the body that shows that it imbues off the person. Like it's kind of like I would say it's like heat from the human body, because that's just normal heat. I would say their sense of self, the aura within their blood cells is not something simply attached towards their physical set, but it's also attached towards their entire person. So, whereas the aura that, due to blood retention and due to muscle memory and so on, all these other factors such as how much water flows through the body, or how much how faster a person can retain information, all these things happening all at the same time, as well as depth perception and consciousness of your surroundings. All these things happen at the same time. All these things, both physical, mental, psychological, all happening at the same time, give off a certain aura. It's not just about blood. It's not just about internal intellect. It's not about looking left, looking right, and be able to see things coming faster from left or right, and register it in your mind as dangerous or not fast enough, which has to do with mental capacity. It's both physical and mental, and I guess psychological, all at the same time. And those things radiate and give off a certain type of perfume that is an aura. At least that's how it was defined when I read up about that stuff a long time ago. And so that's what it is in this manga. The stronger the person's self is, or person is, just as who they are, as normal people, not as people train and they become stronger at these things over time. Just normal dudes born this way, or have certain things, or have specific things out of other things. Like, for instance, they could be completely a weakling, but for some reason their brain capacity is beyond normal, that it just resonates a certain type of characteristics within their body. So normally the arrow would pierce someone like that, physically would kill the body, but the mind has like muscle memory in order to repair such a damage, and thus the person does not die from the arrow. It does the opposite. It actually turns that person, whatever is most powerful in that person, that would keep that person alive, and turn it into a stand. That's why people like Jotaro can inherit their stand abilities, while other people like Rohan, and even I guess you could say Pucci as well. Well, not Pucci, like Rohan and the Nijima brothers. You know, like Rohan, the Nijima brothers, or even Baba, or at least that's what her name was, Inaban, or however you want to call her, Inya. That's how they got their powers, from the arrow. But it wasn't the fact that they're just normal, everyday, average Joes. They had something special about them from the very beginning. Something that allowed the arrow not to kill them. Because if they were just normal Joes, then they would just die from the arrow. At least that's what is said in the manga. So that's all I got to say about this. Tomorrow I'm going to continue the story. If not tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, I'm going to continue this JoJo story. But it's very interesting. I love the story that it's going for right now. I'm not playing this for the actual game itself, but I like the idea of the new type of story that they're setting up. How they're able to combine all these characters from these different parts, or these different various different stories, and combine them into all of them, all these stories, into just one story within this game. And it's actually done pretty well, isn't it? It's not the best story, but it feels like it's a JoJo story. It's not better than most stories or games, but it's better than a lot of stories that are anime or movie adaptation of a game. because it feels more like a JoJo story. It feels like it was made for fans of JoJo. People say if someone says it's really not that good, then it's most likely they're not really a JoJo fan, or they don't understand the logic of what was trying to happen, or what the people who made the game was trying to do, or they don't want to think beyond that certain point. But who knows? I don't care about those people. They're not JoJo fans. They don't matter. You know, the people who made this game specifically for fans of this fandom. If you ain't fans of a JoJo and you disagree, then it doesn't matter what you think, because you're not. It wasn't made for you to begin with. It was made primarily for the JoJo fans, not just people who think, well, it could have been better, or you know, it's not as good as the anime and so on and so forth. No game will ever be better than an anime or a manga, no matter how they make it, because things that are the originals are usually hard to beat or hard to outmatch. So if this game came out before the manga did, or before the anime did, then those things will have to be compared to this game. And people will say, well, they can't compare it to the game because the game is better than the manga or the anime. And that's the behavior of human beings. They will always say, well, this is better because it was the OG. But that's not the case when it comes to this. The story in here is pretty good, how they set certain things up. And if anyone disagrees, it's just that they're stuck in the logic of that old mentality. They can't think beyond a certain point. It's like a dude that was talking about the anime Teppen. I believe he didn't like Teppen, which is logical, because the first 4 episodes of Teppen wasn't that good. But moving forward, once you get past the 5th Teppen episode, which was also not that good, you get into the 6th and 7th episode of Teppen, and then it started to pick up. And then gradually at the 1st episode to the 3rd episode, you slightly see things were picking up, but it really started to pick up in the 6th and 7th episode. And that's something I was trying to tell people when they watch anime. It's like, if something is boring at the beginning, then you have to wait past a few episodes to see if it picks up. And if it doesn't pick up, then that means it's probably not that good. Which Teppen isn't not that good. It's okay, but it's not bad either. So he was saying that it was actually bad and he was bored of it, but you can't actually say something's bad and bored of it and don't want to see it unless you see more than half of, or at least half or more than half of a thing. Because if you only see the first 25 minutes of a story of an entire season of like, say, Game of Thrones or something. If you see the first season of Game of Thrones and that's all you've ever seen, or if you saw the first 25% of Cowboy Bebop and you didn't see the stories to the halfway point, or the stories past the halfway point, then you will never know what the hell Cowboy Bebop is about. Same for Naruto. If you just watch the first 2 seasons of Naruto, and then you never watch all the continuing seasons of Naruto, then you will never realize how great Naruto started to become. Because once it got past the 2nd season, it went into stuff that had to do with the Hokage. And with Sasuke, that stuff came way later on with Naruto and Sasuke. And then I would say that stuff came like way later on. Yes, there was always a Naruto and Sasuke thing, but that stuff really came like way later on. Naruto's story had to go past like several seasons before the whole Naruto and Sasuke thing became convoluted. But yeah, it was primarily about Naruto. Sasuke was just a character that was in there, kind of like a supporting character, but he really wasn't. He was a major player. But it was always about Naruto's story. It had nothing to do with Sasuke. He just became a factor that was more important coming towards the end of Naruto before it went into Shippuden. And that only happened, I guess, past season 5 of the original Naruto series. So it really had to get past a good 3 seasons for people to actually saw that Sasuke was someone that was more than just not just a primary character, was more than just the secondary character of the primary character, or one of the primary characters, that he was relevant enough to be considered on the same level of Naruto. So that's what it is. I mean, the story could have been called Sasuke's story, and Naruto could have been the secondary person within that story, along with Sakura. But it wasn't. It was Naruto's story, and Sasuke and Sakura were the secondary players. But along the way, after like the fifth season, then people started to see it as more as it's kind of a Sasuke Naruto story slash Sakura story. It's kind of all three of these people's story all at once, even though most of the story revolved around Sasuke and Naruto in the early years, as well as some that has to do with Jiraiya, and basically everything in the original Naruto was more about everything that was going on with multiple people. And then Shippuden started to drag it into the Sasuke Naruto storyline. But like people, like someone would say Naruto's always good from the very beginning, but that's not true. Naruto's story only really started to pick up once it got to Zabuza. And I don't mean like when they met Zabuza. I'm talking about after they met Zabuza, after they got into that major fight with Zabuza. Then the story really started to pick up. Because if you're just talking about them fighting an elite ninja, that story could have gone anywhere. It could have gone up, it could have gone down, it could have gone sideways. It could have been a total mess. Them just meeting Zabuza doesn't make it a good thing. Them actually, how the story with Zabuza ended, or as it was coming to an end, how it was progressing and the emotions that Naruto felt towards what the actions of what Zabuza was trying to kill Sasuke and Sakura. Well, that's how that story was progressing. But there's nothing about those first couple of episodes of Naruto that was actually good from the beginning. The build towards that story was implemented there from the beginning, and you just had to play catch up. It wasn't shown in those first 3 episodes. It was just educated you about how ninjutsu worked and how ninjas operate within the village and how certain characters behave. And then you started to, I like this character. I like the way they're teaching you ninjutsu. I like the way the village is set up. I like the duties and activities that certain people are doing. But the emotion and drama of the overall story of Naruto didn't actually start to become a thing until the journey of fighting Zabuza was at its midway point towards its end point. That's why I said if you're going to pay attention to any anime, do not look at the first 3 or 4 episodes and say, okay, now I believe I know where this anime is going based on the first 2, 3, or 4 episodes, because you don't know. You can only know if something is good or not once you get to the halfway point or past the halfway point. Because if you say, well, I was right from the beginning because look, it was bad, then you still don't know, because you can't gamble like that with regards to every single thing that you watch, read, or do, because that's what's called gambling. When someone says from the first 1 or 2 episodes, 1, 2, or 3 episodes, it's not good, that person is gambling, because they don't ultimately know how it will be at the halfway point or towards the end. They're high gambling. They're playing high stakes. And if they win, they say, yeah, I was right. But no, they weren't. They were just high gambling. So that's all I got to say with regards to that. And I'm going to continue to see this game tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. I'll probably jump on to... I really want to get... I mean, I keep saying I'm going to get into Disco Elysium and AI Somnium. But... yeah, for today, I think for today I'm going to finish up my, for today I think I'm going to finish up my Zombie Army 4 DLC play, because I wanted to play that for the Twitch, but I don't think I'll play for the Twitch again. I think I'll just play it on YouTube. There was the Ragnarok and so on and so forth that came out, but I didn't play for Twitch. Now that I think about it, I'll just end this here. And anything I'm about to play thereafter, whether it's AI Somnium Files or Disco Elysium or even Zombie Army 4, I'll decide what that is. It could be something, or it's most likely it'll probably be Zombie Army 4. I want to finish that up today, or if not today, tomorrow. Yeah. All right. So I'll just end this.